Hi, welcome to Crime Clueless. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
I'm Lara.
I'm Krista.
And I'm Kayla.
We are back for part 2 of Robert Durst. If you haven't listened to part 1, go listen to that right now. Then you'll be all set up for the rest of the madness while we finish part 2. So we'll jump right in because you've already heard us on part 1 today.
We got to know what's going to happen. We got to know more about this guy.
Exactly.
Let's go. Come on.
All right. So when we left off last time, we were in the late 90s. We found out that Robert is this millionaire drifter, not working for the family firm, floating around, staying at cheap rentals. All of this time, from when he was in college till now, the one person that Robert had stayed close to was Susan Berman, who, remember, was his old UCLA friend. And Susan is interesting. She's the only child of David Berman, who was a notorious mobster who once ran Las Vegas's Flamingo Casino. Her mother had passed away when she was young. She grew up kind of as what she called a pampered mob princess, and later channeled her family history into her writing. She and Robert had bonded deeply back in college because they both were children of privilege, but they had family trauma. Her mother had also died by suicide. As adults, they considered each other best friends. Susan affectionately called Robert Bobo, and at times when she needed it, he financially supported her. In the 80s and 90s, Susan was living in Los Angeles. Her once promising writing career had stalled. She would send these books that she thought would do well, and they kind of had lackluster selling and never topping the charts like she had hoped. She also had done screenplays that hadn't been picked up, things like that. She bought a large home, though, in Brentwood, California, which is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in California. She reportedly was really paranoid of the world around her and had remodeled her home to basically be this impenetrable fortress. Like, the windows were all nailed shut. She had extra bolts and locks on all of her doors that she kept locked at all times. But by the late 90s, her marriage had fallen apart, so she sold that home and moved to a smaller one in Benedict Canyon, which is just outside Beverly Hills. And she's living alone, and so her fear of the world was only increased. She was driving an old 1984 car that would, and this is from multiple news sources, occasionally catch fire.
What?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal.
Was she switching out the oil?
I don't know.
That's the only time I've heard of that happening.
I was going to say, I'm not sure how that happens.
Yeah.
So that at least gives me some idea.
Granted, I have seen cars on fire here on the side of the road multiple times.
Yeah.
True.
Arizona, things just spontaneously combust.
Catch fire.
I know. We're just lucky we haven't.
Yes.
She had to keep borrowing money, though, from friends to repair her car each time it caught on fire.
Don't just get in.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for a new one. Pull together that money and buy something else.
Yes. In the late 90s, like I said, Robert was more of a drifter than ever, and Susan hadn't been able to rely on him or even talk to him that much. And remember, Susan had moved to New York when Robert was living there in the 70s.
Mhm.
And even when she had moved to California sometime in the 80s, they still communicated frequently and saw each other, traveled, things like that. But recently, now that we're in the late 90s, she hadn't really been able to communicate with him that much. And, she missed him. He was her best friend. So meanwhile, in New York, a new Westchester County District Attorney by the name of Janine Pirro had reopened the Kathie Durst cold case. It's been nearly 2 decades since Kathie vanished.
Wow.
And it was long ago deemed unsolvable. But in late 1999, New York State Police investigator Joe Becerra began poking into it again. He soon uncovered what we discussed earlier with Kathie, that she likely never made it to Manhattan, which blows apart Robert's alibi and his entire story to police and investigators.
Mm-hmm.
By summer of 2000, word reached Susan Berman that Westchester authorities wanted to interview her. After all, Susan was Robert's closest confidant. If he had a dark secret about Kathie, they thought, you know who might know something? Susan. In fact, the New York Times later reported that Susan had privately told friends years earlier that Robert had admitted to her that he'd killed Kathie.
Oh.
Susan apparently said cryptically that now that Kathie was gone, we need to protect Bob.
What?
Yep.
Interview her.
Yeah, right? One can only imagine what Susan truly knew or how she felt about it. In August of 2000, Susan sent a letter to Robert through the Durst organization because she just hadn't been able to get a hold of him for a few months, and she asked him to contact her. She also said that she really needed money to buy a new car and was hoping that he could loan her $7,000 to do so. So I'm guessing her car caught on fire one too many times.
Just glad she's getting a new one.
Yes, right. In October of 2000, Robert learned that the Kathie investigation was heating up. According to testimony from his own sister, Wendy, she informed Robert that the cops were sniffing around again. Durst's reaction was swift. He went into hiding. And by November of 2000, he had quietly left New York and rented his $300 a month apartment in Galveston, posing as Dorothy Sinner. So that's why he went there in the first place.
Only to, commit more crime.
Yeah. And, it probably would be darkly comedic if it hadn't ultimately turned out so deadly. That same month, a check for $25,000 arrived for Susan with a note saying, "This isn't a loan, it's a gift. You can always count on me." Now, to me, with the investigation, the timing is pretty sus.
Yeah.
Like a reminder that if she stays quiet, he'll keep helping her anytime.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just a few weeks later, Susan would be murdered.
Oh.
I like Kayla's face. She was like, jaw.
I was like, what?
Yeah. In December, Susan told friends that Los Angeles detectives had contacted her about Kathie's case and that she was going to talk to them. In truth, there's doubt whether that meeting was actually set, like a specific day or anything. Some sources say it's unclear if the LAPD interview, they were going to talk to her. The Westchester police had arranged for the LAPD to interview Susan. There's doubt if it was arranged or set up or anything. On Christmas Eve, 2000, Susan's neighbors noticed the back door to her home had been open for quite some time and one of her dogs had gotten out. Now, the neighbors knew that Susan was extremely careful with security and they considered her paranoid, to be honest. So they called the police. When officers arrived, they found Susan Berman dead, lying in a pool of blood just inside her Benedict Canyon home. She'd been shot in the back of the head, execution style, by a 9mm handgun. There were no signs of forced entry. Her wallet and valuables were untouched. To police, this looked like a professional hit. Because remember her family and her background, upon first glance, it definitely wouldn't have surprised them if the mob was involved. However, as investigators dug into the crime scene, to them, it looked like she knew her killer and had let them in. Even perhaps turned her back to walk away ahead of them, tragically comfortable with whoever had come over. Because remember, no robbery, no sign of forced entry, and she had all the locks. And she wouldn't have just let somebody into her home.
Yeah, you had talked about in her previous apartment, she had like everything like bolted shut, like even like nailed shut.
Same with this one.
Same with this one? Yeah.
Given the timing and the method, suspicion immediately and probably rightly fell on Robert Durst. Susan had been Robert's staunch defender for years. If she was about to cooperate with authorities regarding Kathie, that gave Robert a powerful motive to silence her. But investigators in 2000 had no hard evidence against him. And honestly, I don't think they even knew where he was.
Yeah.
Oddly, an anonymous letter arrived at the Beverly Hills Police, dated December 23rd, alerting them to Susan's, in all caps, cadaver at her address. This infamous cadaver note was postmarked the day before her body was discovered. Whoever wrote it clearly wanted Susan's body found, perhaps to ensure her murder was seen as such, not an accidental death, although being shot in the back of the head is,
Pretty clear.
not accidental.
No.
The note was printed in block letters and they misspelled Beverly Hills. So they spelled Beverly Beverley, adding an extra E. At the time, police had no idea who sent it, but they did consider Durst a person of interest. It was also pointed out to them that was a spelling error that Durst commonly made. They talked to him later on, and he strongly denied having written the letter or knowing anything about Susan's murder. Lacking proof, the case of Susan's murder also went cold. Susan's friends, when they learned of her murder, considered her connection through her father to the mob. She had confided to several that she knew nothing about his mob ties until she was an adult and had slowly started to learn about his brutal past. They considered that maybe she'd been deep diving into things she shouldn't have, uncovering secrets that maybe someone didn't want her to find out, because she was putting that into her writing now. Her friends absolutely thought Robert was responsible. Two of her friends gave an interview with a reporter and said that they found it impossible to believe Durst wasn't responsible.
Well, especially if that's a common spelling error that he makes the rest of the time. That's not, that seems far too coincidental.
Right?
And right after she said she was going to talk to the police about his wife's murder.
Yep.
That's
And
very
who knows what
suspicious.
she would have said. I mean,
She might have stood up for him,
yeah,
but maybe he had told her things.
right.
He
Just
was
worried about
scared
it.
that she would talk.
And he also, like we said, has some mental illness going on
Yeah.
and maybe paranoid, schizophrenic. I mean, yeah. By 2001, as we know, Robert is busy creating mayhem in Galveston. And that, like we had talked about in part 1, ended in Morris Black's death. Now, remember how Durst's bail was posted so quickly in 2001 before he fled Texas? By the way, when he came back, his bail was changed to $750,000. And in my head, it's like, he can post that just as quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, he got $65 million.
Yes, he didn't have that yet, but
okay.
he had access to
the
all
money.
of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. It turns out at this time, he was married again.
Oh.
His wife is the one that posted the $250,000 bail. She also tried to withdraw $1.8 million before police froze his accounts.
Oh, good.
So would they have
Mhm.
gotten married while he was in jail?
No, before.
No, because
This wasn't he in jail for 2 years?
this was before he was even arrested or had committed Morris Black's death. He married her. And then once they arrested him, which was just a few days later after Black was killed, his bail was posted immediately.
Oh, okay.
The wife is the one that posted it.
So was she living at that small apartment with him?
That's what I can't figure out.
Or maybe they had separated because he needed to hide
It
or
could be.
something? I don't know.
Yep. There's very little known about her, but it is
Interesting.
interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, so Susan Berman's name came up during Durst's 2003 trial. The judge allowed a very limited inquiry into whether Morris Black might have discovered Durst's true identity as a fugitive hiding from the Kathie investigation and then subsequently Susan's investigation. Prosecutors hinted that maybe Black was killed because he realized Dorothy was Robert Durst, because they painted him as like a busybody
Mhm.
going through other people's things, stuff like that. And they're thinking maybe Durst found out that Morris Black knew and did not want that case reopened or his identity getting out.
Yeah, I wonder if he was planning on doing something and then Morris decided to go confront him in his
Mhm.
apartment or something with the gun. And so maybe part of that's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to know.
Yeah.
I would love answers though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was speculation, but they did allow some of that into the trial. Durst, for his part, denied any such motive and completely stuck to the accidental shooting tale. By this point, Robert has become a figure of morbid fascination. Here's a man long suspected of killing his wife, widely believed to have murdered his best friend, now Susan, and known to have dismembered his neighbor. Yet,
Didn't he call Morris his best friend?
he did, yeah.
Wonder if in his brain he was actually talking about Susan.
I was like, that literally just
Yeah.
clicked for me too.
Hmm.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I hadn't put that together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe he was secretly confessing to killing his best friend.
Yeah. And like had them mixed up in his mind or something. I don't know.
I can't keep all the murders straight.
Yes.
Yeah. However, he is under investigation or has gotten away with that murder basically unscathed. So no serious consequences. He's very rich, he's cunning, and he is supremely lucky. His luck was about to run out a little bit. The catalyst was Hollywood. In 2008, Marcus Hinchey and Mark Smearling, who are screenwriters, began working on a project that was loosely based on Kathie's disappearance. The film is called All Good Things. Remember the name of his store in Vermont?
Oh, yeah.
It starred Ryan Gosling as Robert Durst.
Really?
And Kirsten Dunst plays Kathie.
Huh.
It's directed by Andrew Jarecki. This came out in 2010. Critics noted that the real-life case was way more interesting than the fictional version was. The film didn't specifically say that Durst had killed Kathie, and I think they were trying to toe the line between not getting sued by somebody with a lot of money
Yeah.
and still presenting this fascinating story.
All right, we all have
David
homework.
Marks is the name of Ryan Gosling's character.
Yeah,
And his wife,
changed-
Katie.
Kate. Oh,
Pretty
Not
close.
Kathy.
pretty
Yeah.
close.
Ah.
Durst watched the movie when it came out. He loved it.
Of course he did. It's about him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In a twist almost too wild for fiction, Durst cold called the director to tell him how impressed he was.
And how old is he?
Did he
He's like
miss the point?
70 at this time.
2010.
Oh, he's
so
almost 70.
almost 70.
Okay.
So 67, 68.
Okay.
He commented that he believed it was, quote, an even-handed account of his life.
Wow.
All Good Things does cover the murder of Morris Black, too.
Oh, interesting.
Durst offered to do commentary for the DVD release. In the commentary, Robert actually verifies how accurate some of the most violent scenes are,
Wow.
including, get this, the scene where his character dismembers Morris Black. You can hear him on the commentary comment say, "This is more or less accurate,"
Oh my gosh.
That's so creepy.
right? This project, doing the commentaries, sparked a friendship between him and the director, Andrew.
Oh, Andrew.
Side note, to point out that really all during this time, Robert is still out there being Robert. The erratic behavior never stopped. In 2014, by then he's in his 70s, he made headlines for something new but equally absurd. He was caught on camera urinating on a candy rack at a CVS pharmacy in Houston.
Why?
I don't know why. The man literally exposed himself and peed all over the display of Werther's Originals and Hershey bars.
As one does, I guess.
Have they watched his other wife? Make sure she's still
Around. Yeah.
kicking out there.
I'm hoping she got some money. She didn't
And-
get the 1.8, but
and
maybe she got
left.
something and hightailed it out of there.
Maybe.
Probably smart.
Yes, I'll come pay your bail if you double it and give me some.
Yeah. Let me
Something.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Security footage showed he did it casually without any kind of provocation. Then he just walked out like nothing happened.
The boys are probably like, what is happening?
Like, who has to clean this up?
Yeah. Gross.
Ugh. Houston police, well aware of who he is by now, how could you forget Durst, charged him with criminal mischief for the lewd little episode. He wasn't arrested on the spot. His attorney arranged for him to surrender later and negotiate bail, underscoring the special treatment that his wealth could still buy.
Surprise.
Because remember, by now, he does have the $65 million
Mhm.
from the business payout. He pleaded guilty and paid a $500 fine.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
For public urination and, exposing yourself in a public place.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Didn't you say people in his company used to do that?
he used to do that to
In his
uncle's office
Yeah.
at the company.
Yes.
He'd pee in the garbage cans.
Yeah. And one of the last times he did it is why he was asked to never return to the business.
All right. Just being consistent.
Yep.
One of the last times. How many times were they like, hey, Robert, maybe don't do this again?
Haven't you heard of toilets? Come on.
His brother said in an interview that he threw something in to the garbage, but 2 things went in. So he reached his hand in to get the one paper out and it was all wet. And he was like,
Oh,
"You've gotta
gross.
be kidding me."
Ugh. Gross.
I love your face again.
Ugh.
We need to have
Man.
Kayla on camera.
Oh.
I know.
We'll just record her for our YouTube channel.
Totally. I love it.
Oh, my face has a mind of its own. Okay.
Perfect. People will love to watch your
Oh.
fresh reactions.
Yeah.
It will be wonderful.
Looks of disgust.
At least for this.
Yes.
So, given the friendship now that Andrew and Durst had created by doing the film and then the commentary, the idea of a documentary was born. For a man who'd been notoriously reclusive and press shy, volunteering to be interviewed on camera was risky. His lawyers begged him not to do it. His family didn't want him to do it. In fact, his brother Douglas refused to participate in the documentary series. He did give a few interviews after. He was upset that Robert had been given a, quote, megaphone to share his own version of events that are really his own version of events.
Mm-hmm.
One awful thing that he shared in those interviews was that in the 6 months leading up to Kathie's disappearance, Robert had gotten 7 Malamute, so husky-type dogs, that all disappeared.
No.
Oh.
Each one was named Igor.
What?
Mhm.
That's so. What?
That's bizarre.
So Douglas said that he thinks that Robert was practicing for how to then murder Kathie.
Oh.
And this was cemented when Robert was recorded in jail saying, "I want to Igor Douglas." This man is
What?
insane. With the documentary, Durst is this mix of hubris, loneliness, and maybe some strange desire to be heard, I guess. So he went ahead and gave Andrew and his crew 20 plus hours of interviews, no topic off limits. The result was the 2015 HBO documentary series, The Jinx, The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst.
Oh my gosh.
You should all watch it. It's no exaggeration to say The Jinx became a cultural phenomenon, a true crime thriller unfolding in real time, with Durst as this oddly compelling anti-hero. Crucially, it unearthed new evidence that law enforcement had missed.
Perfect.
They're
That's what we needed. Yeah.
jackpot.
Yeah,
Thank you for giving this man a microphone.
right? Which is why his
Charge
lawyers
him.
were like, no,
Don't.
no.
They probably knew he
after-
would just say whatever.
Well, after
Yeah.
his commentary on the movie,
Right.
you can't get back out there and say more things.
No.
Right. Please don't.
What?
And at least
Yes, he
that
did.
one he didn't help make in the first place. But
Yeah.
this one, he was all over. So there are 6 episodes, and The Jinx methodically lays out the cases of Kathie, Susan, and Morris Black. It was the first time that Durst had publicly addressed all of it in detail. He made some damning admissions on camera. For one, in episode 2, he admitted that he lied to police in 1982 about his alibi the night Kathie vanished. He explains how he called one of Kathie's friends to pretend Kathie had arrived in Manhattan, and he says it was to get the police off my back. Also, somehow we find out that he had Susan call and pretend to be Kathie to the school.
Mm-hmm.
So she was definitely hearing it in real time. Then the bombshell, Durst was openly saying that he obstructed the investigation. He chuckled about getting his story straight back then. Andrew's eyes practically popped out during the interview. It confirmed what investigators long suspected. that Durst and likely Susan Berman had colluded to fabricate Kathie's last sightings.
Does he think he's like, I don't know, immune
Off the
or
hook
something?
now?
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's like, yes, for Morris Black, because you're acquitted, we're done. But
Kathie and Susan are cold cases. Yeah.
Yep. The real bombshell.
More.
The next bombshell, you mean?
No.
We need Jenna's face on camera too, guys.
Yes.
Came at the end of the series. Andrew's team discovered a piece of physical evidence that tied Robert to Susan's murder like a neat bow. Remember the anonymous cadaver note? They got a hold of an old letter Durst had once mailed to Susan in the 1990s. In that letter, Robert had misspelled Beverly Hills exactly the same weird way as the extra E between the L and the Y. The handwriting was eerily similar, if not identical.
Yeah.
On camera, Andrew confronts Durst with copies of the two documents, one that Robert did write to Susan, and one that only Susan's killer could have written to police. Durst looked at them and went visibly pale. He blinked and burped nervously, which he had been doing through the entire interview. For a moment, he insisted, I wrote this one, but I did not write the cadaver one. But as he stared, he couldn't tell them apart. So, damning
Weird.
evidence.
It's like, oh, I wrote that one. No, it was that one. No, I think it was that one.
It was neither. I don't know.
I didn't write either of them.
Right. So it was very obvious to people working on set that the cadaver note was his. On the show, you can see Durst put his head in his hands, flustered and not looking so great. And now we have the moment that gives viewers chills.
The next moment.
The big moment. The interview's over. Durst needs to go to the bathroom. He's still burping and uncontrollably pale. Mm-hmm. His microphone is still on him and it is still recording.
Good.
Unaware that he is on a hot mic, he starts talking to himself. He muttered words that are now infamous. He says, there it is. You're caught. What the hell did I do? Killed them all, of course.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
So the HBO editors had this, and there's a lot more that he said. That whole phrasing is interrupted by other parts of him muttering and burping and saying other things. But to them, it sounded like Durst had confessed to killing Kathie and Susan and maybe to killing Morris, not just self-defense. In this moment of unfiltered honesty, killed them all, of course. They're kind of stuck between investigative, journalistic integrity and morality, if we can hand this over. So they did work with police on this, but they did have to come out and address, we didn't just wait until the whole show was out before police saw it. We gave it to them pretty much right away. For the Jinx, they were able to use it as the ending.
Oh, wow.
Better that any screenwriter could ever dream up.
Yeah, that worked out well for them.
Viewers heard those words when the Jinx finale aired on March 15th, 2015.
That's nuts.
Yeah. By this time, LA investigators and the FBI had been working quietly behind the scenes with Andrew's team. They knew the finale's revelations would spook Durst, and he would probably flee again. And I don't think he knew that that was picked up. One day before the last episode aired on March 14th, the FBI arrested Robert Durst in New Orleans on a warrant for Susan Berman's murder.
Good.
Yes. I was like, yay, in my brain.
Yep. And, they had been collecting evidence all along the way. It wasn't just that one line, but they
or
knew
the video,
they knew when it was going to air. They knew he would hear that. They knew he would watch it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to make sure they had all their ducks in a row before March 15th, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In true Robert Durst fashion, he hadn't really been laying low. He was registered at a hotel under an alias, Everett Ward. He apparently was preparing to bolt maybe to Cuba. He had fake IDs, loads of cash. There were reports that while he was at that hotel, guests were complaining that he was just wandering around the lobby talking to himself all the time and at odd hours.
He seems very unstable.
He is very unstable.
And he's older now, too.
Mm-hmm. In fact, Durst later testified that he was going to kill himself rather than face the music. He said that he had a gun ready in his car for suicide when agents swarmed him in the lobby. His lawyer argued against that later on, but we can't really trust Robert.
Mm-hmm.
At 71 years old, he was finally headed to trial for murder, this time in California. Now, his arrest in 2015 made international headlines, turning him into this pop culture villain overnight. The burping, the mumbling, the killed it all man was all over late night comedian shows, and it really fascinated the public. For the families of his victims, it was a long-awaited moment of hope. Kathie's siblings, for example, felt that at least the wheels of justice were turning.
Mm-hmm.
They even criticized that it was bizarre and unacceptable that Durst was being tried for Susan's murder, in effect killing an accomplice after 40 years before ever being charged with Kathie's murder, the original crime. But they were determined to see him pay for something.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they had more connecting him to Susan.
They did.
Is that it? They didn't have as much for Kathie.
Well,
unfortunately.
And the time between what happened to Susan and what happened to Kathie was 18 years.
Yeah.
Almost 19. And he had done a pretty good job of destroying evidence and obstructing the investigation the first time around. So it's kind of hard to go back. It took 6 years from that arrest in 2015 for Robert to actually stand trial. His legal team was completely experienced and an absolute expert at delay tactics. And then COVID-19 hit, which pushed court proceedings for over a year. By the time the trial finally commenced in Los Angeles in May of 2021, Durst was 78 years old, in really bad health, and appeared in court in a wheelchair wearing a baggy prison jumpsuit. But he was as combative and confident as ever where it mattered in his testimony. Durst's lawyers made the bold, and some would say crazy, decision to put him on the witness stand in his own defense. Over several weeks, the jurors got what amounted to the Robert Durst one-man show. By turns, chilling, oddly charming, and utterly infuriating. Imagine Grandpa Simpson if Grandpa Simpson had, a body count. That's what watching Durst testify felt like at times. Under gentle questioning by his defense attorney, Durst spun the narrative of his life. He was a loving son, traumatized by his mother's death, a loner, misunderstood. He even played the sympathy card hard, talking about how he would team up with his mom for Frisbee games and Uno card matches in childhood. That backfired spectacularly when the prosecutor later pointed out that Frisbee and Uno hadn't been invented in 1950.
So close. So close.
Almost.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
Durst also repeated his old lines. He swore he did not kill Susan, but claimed he found her dead body on a visit, and that, yes, in a moment of panic, he's great at those, he wrote the cadaver note to alert police anonymously.
Yeah, he's really good at just stumbling upon dead bodies.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if at this point, the jury from the original trial,
The Morris Black one.
yeah,
Mhm.
if they're like, yeah,
Uh-oh.
we probably should have found him guilty.
We probably got
You
that
know?
one wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if any of them have ever done interviews, but I'd be interested to see why they said not guilty and what
Yeah.
they think now.
I guess with cases like that, you vote based on if there's no doubt in your mind that it could have been.
I know, but
yeah, I know.
would assume some of them did probably have doubt,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they probably were certain that he did it, but they couldn't prove premeditation.
Yeah. That he did it
That-
knowingly.
He planned it all out and went and did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I would bet money if they had put manslaughter on the table,
He would have been.
he would have been convicted.
Yeah.
But anyways, the note admission was new because remember, for years, Robert denied writing that note because he knew it implicated him. So trying to get ahead of the evidence, he conceded, I wrote the note, but only because I found the body. It was a tale that no one really bought, but again, last-ditch effort. The real fireworks came on cross-examination. LA Deputy DA John Lewin had been waiting literally years to grill Durst, because remember, we're 6 years in now.
Mm-hmm.
His strategy was clear: expose Durst as a pathological liar who would say anything to dodge trouble. Over 9 grueling days, he marched the jury through lie after lie that Durst had told in various investigations. Big lies, small lies, lies about his wife, lies about board games. Everything was fair game. By the end, Durst was tangled in his own contradictions. In one exchange, Lewin bluntly asked, "Mr. Durst, if you had actually killed Susan Berman, would you ever tell us?" Durst responded, "No." Lewin pressed, "In fact, if you'd killed her, you'd lie about it, right?" And Durst blurted out, "Correct." He elaborated, "I did not kill Susan Berman, but if I had, I would lie about it."
And his attorneys are head in their hand, shaking.
Dying.
Yeah.
That moment hung in the courtroom air like poison. The jury heard loud and clear that Durst was essentially saying, "You can't trust a word I say, if I'm guilty or not." As the Associated Press summarized, Durst admitted under oath that there are certain things I would lie about, certain very important things.
Yeah.
Durst was also confronted with the hot mic finale from the Jinx. He tried to wiggle out of it by offering a bizarre reinterpretation. He claimed he hadn't actually confessed from the bathroom. Instead, he was thinking, "They'll all think I killed them all, of course." But maybe only half muttered it. Kind of brilliant, I guess. I'm sure he didn't come up with it. I'm sure his
No.
lawyers did.
Yeah.
It was an attempt to recast the narrative, but it didn't convince anyone. The damage was done by the tape itself. Hearing his own gravelly voice whisper, "Killed them all, of course," is something you can't unhear.
No.
Another striking piece of testimony came when Nick Shavin, who was once Durst's best friend, he had avoided directly implicating Robert for years, but in a recorded pretrial hearing, which jurors learned about, he tearfully revealed that Durst had essentially confessed to him too. In 2014, during a sidewalk conversation, Durst had told Nick about Susan Berman. "I had to. It was her or me. I had no choice." Nick said that was the moment he knew his dear friend Robert had killed Susan. "This was a best friend who admitted to killing my other best friend," Nick said, choking up on the stand. That powerful testimony provided a motive in plain language. Durst felt Susan might turn on him by saying her or me, so he chose to eliminate her. After months of testimony, mountains of evidence, including those matching handwriting samples, countless witnesses, the case went to the jury in September of 2021. It didn't take long. They deliberated only a few hours over 2 days. On September 17th, 2021, the verdict came in: guilty of first-degree murder for the execution of Susan Berman. Robert Durst was not in the courtroom to hear it. In a twist of karma, he had been hospitalized after catching COVID near the trial's end. In fact, his lawyers conveniently claimed he was on death's door with various ailments to try and stall the proceedings. Durst survived long enough to finally be convicted. Cameras captured Kathie's family outside the courtroom expressing profound relief. After 39 years of waiting, at least one of his victims had seen justice. Kathie's sister said that not a day goes by they don't think of our beautiful, smart, kind sister, and this verdict was a long overdue step. Even the judge, when sentencing Durst to life in prison a month later, remarked that Kathie was, quote, "the elephant in the room" throughout the trial. The specter of that first wife's fate loomed over the entire case. Now, propped up by the Berman conviction, because if he killed Susan for starting to talk to authorities,
Yes.
what did she know? Westchester County in New York immediately moved to file charges against Robert with Kathie's murder. A grand jury was impaneled weeks after the LA verdict. In October of 21, New York formally indicted Robert Durst for the second-degree murder of Kathleen McCormick Durst, nearly 40 years after she had disappeared. Kathie's family said it was bittersweet. Bizarre that Susan's case was solved first, but they felt at last that no one is above the law and no victim's case should be forgotten. The Westchester DA even released an investigative report detailing how Durst's lies and status had helped him escape charges for so long. and vowing that the era of the rich and powerful evading scrutiny is over. Not really, but
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was their way of acknowledging that Durst should have been held accountable decades earlier, but saying essentially better late than never.
So sad if they had held him accountable then.
To life.
Susan and Morris, probably not.
They wouldn't have met the same fate, right?
Yes, they would have been taken out by him too.
Yep.
Sadly, or perhaps fittingly, Robert Durst did not live to face that final trial. On January 10th, 2022, just 3 months after his murder conviction, Robert died in a California prison hospital at age 78. Officially, the cause was cardiac arrest compounded by numerous medical issues. He was battling bladder cancer and other ailments. With his death, the conviction in Susan's case was technically vacated since his appeal wasn't finished, and the Kathie murder prosecution was halted because you can't try a dead man. It's an anticlimactic end, though, where he kind of cheated the system by natural causes, it seems.
It's just disappointing that he didn't spend more time in prison, honestly.
Absolutely.
Kind of face what he did. Yeah.
And that they couldn't convict him for Kathie, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do we make of Robert Durst now that all is said and done? Here's a man who had every advantage. He had wealth, education, connections, yet lived a life marked by deception, violence, and bizarre self-sabotage. Psychiatrists have theorized about him endlessly. During the Galveston trial, his defense actually argued that he had Asperger's syndrome, suggesting his social awkwardness and flat affect could be explained by a developmental disorder. One expert said Durst's entire life history is so compatible with a diagnosis of Asperger's. Perhaps, but plenty of people on the spectrum don't do anything near what he did. There's clearly more at play.
Yeah.
He's got to have that narcissistic sociopath diagnosis as well.
Yes, exactly. Durst himself, when asked point blank by a prosecutor if he enjoyed lying, said, "I don't just make up lies for the sake of lying. I lie when I need to," which was probably as close to self-awareness as he would ever get. He lied to save his skin, and he was very practical at it. But in the end, lies caught up to him at least. One of the most surreal takeaways was that some jurors later admitted that Durst was oddly charismatic on the stand in Susan's trial, despite being frail and soft-spoken. They said he had a way of engaging them, but of course the evidence triumphed over charisma. There's a sequel to The Jinx Part 2, aired last year in 2024, which offered a comprehensive chronicle of this case. Part 2, in particular, examines all the enablers who helped Durst essentially get away with murder for so long.
Good.
It introduces viewers to many colorful side characters, the defense lawyers, the investigators, even some of his family members who refused to speak out until after his conviction. One interesting scene from Part 2 shows some of Kathie's family and people from the Morris Black trial sitting together to watch the infamous Jinx finale. Their face registered shock, anger, maybe a bitter kind of vindication as they hear Durst whisper, "Killed them all, of course." It underscores how many lives Durst's actions touch, not just the people he killed, but their relatives and the jurors that had to decide on that conviction in 2003, the friends that he manipulated, and everyone around him, it seems like.
Yeah.
One might say Robert's final victim was himself, undone by arrogance and a single misspelled word. Beverly Hills.
Yep.
If you spelled it right, who knows? But that one typo helped bring a killer to justice. We're left with so many questions that, unfortunately, we'll probably never get answers to, like what really happened to Kathie. Only 2 people know, and Kathie and Robert can't speak. Susan never told anybody. Why did Durst go to such lengths in Galveston? Was he truly panicked, or was he just someone who'd done this before? A Texas judge later suspected that it looked like not a first-time job, and that was pretty scary, noting.
Yeah, there could have been other people
that
we just don't know about.
other victims.
I would assume he did the same thing to Kathie, and that's why they never found her.
Yeah.
Yes. I also wouldn't be surprised if he had done it other times,
Oh,
but
I'm
maybe
sure.
not.
I mean, he was a drifter.
Yeah.
If people, there are probably other cold cases that he could be related to across. I mean, he was everywhere, all over the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone recognized him or
Questioned him or brought it up to him. 'Cause, I mean, he probably was pretty well known.
Mm-hmm.
no one would have known about Black if they wouldn't have seen his body in the lake.
Yeah. That's why. So if he didn't do it only, with Kathie because he didn't want to get divorced, who knows if she told him she had the information she did, then to Susan to keep her quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to believe that maybe there is more to Morris Black finding out who Durst really was.
Yeah.
And confronting him about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I-
not
I would
just a
believe that.
random, I don't like this neighbor,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, and then you wonder too, like, what happened to his head? Where is that?
I know.
So he must have put it somewhere different than the body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
And he didn't put the body in a bag, which is weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
So weird.
Ugh.
I mean, at least he died alone in custody with the world knowing
He was guilty.
he was a murderer,
Yeah.
not a real estate mogul.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's the tale of Robert Durst, the millionaire who literally got away with murder until he didn't.
It's very interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of upset at first when you started and he got away with the murder.
Yeah.
The whole story was very interesting. The whole come around.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a wild ending.
It's not what I was expecting.
No.
Mm-mm.
3 murders later.
I know. I thought we were going to hear, like, I don't know, something else about Black or something. I'm like, nope, this goes way further back. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Crazy
Kind of
story.
a middle stomping ground there.
Yeah.
Started his undoing.
I'm honestly surprised the 3 of us didn't know this one already.
I know.
know.
There's like the movie. There's
Yeah.
documentary.
The Jinx.
We should have known this
We
one.
should have known.
We surely are the clueless bunch. Okay.
Oh, but now you know.
Now we know.
Now you know.
Now we can, and now we have some documentaries to watch.
I know. I want to
Mhm.
watch the Jinx now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've never seen All Good Things.
Me neither.
Mm.
And
never
I
heard
hadn't
of
even
that.
heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like Ryan Gosling,
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Weird. I mean,
Big
so
names.
we might have to have a movie night another day.
Yeah.
Oh, see how it follows. I want to watch
Yeah.
it with the commentary though.
I
Yeah.
don't. We'll watch it first and then with the commentary.
Yeah. I mean, if he hadn't have done the commentary, I don't think the Jinx would have come out. I don't.
No, he probably
You
would
know?
have lived out the rest of his days just drifting around the country.
Literally self-sabotage and like drifting with at least 65 million in his bank account. So
Yes.
I feel like you do have to have at least some narcissistic qualities to decide to be guilty of 3 murders and sit down for an all-exclusive interview. I
Yes.
think you're not
Like
going to
he
get
wanted people to know.
Oh, yeah.
almost.
I think he thought he got away with Morris and he was
Yeah.
just going to tell his story and keep getting away with it, I think.
I think you're right.
Because he had 2 cold cases. No one had connected him before. Well, I mean, they suspected him, but he hadn't been charged with them.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he
That
got
was
away
so
with
long
Morris.
ago.
Mhm.
It's the narcissistic personality
It
there.
is. Yep.
Yeah.
I can talk about this because I already got away with it.
Yeah.
Right. And he has all the money
Mm-hmm.
for the lawyers that will help get him out of it.
Yeah.
And I am curious where she said when they finally charged him with Kathie's murder, she said his connections and his money helped him get away with it. I want to know what that means.
Yeah. Who were his connections?
Mhm. Who got paid off? Who got,
Oh, he can pay
More
off
people had to
everybody.
have known.
yes,
Mhm.
agreed, which is tragic.
Very interesting. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I've been excited to tell you guys this one just because it is
Wild.
just such a crazy ride. And he's so baffling. It just boggles my mind.
Mhm.
I don't understand stealing a sandwich. I don't I mean,
Being in the CVS.
yeah. The
Taking out your best
self-sabotage,
friend.
I guess. Yes.
For how many years had they been friends for?
Before
he's
he
like,
met
well,
Kathie.
yeah.
Since he was at UCLA.
Yeah. for a long time.
Yep.
And he's like, well,
30
she might.
years. Yeah, 35, 40 years.
Who knows what she might say from the things I told her, so I better take her out.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right?
what? That's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
After you just sent her a check for $25,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
So very sad.
Maybe that was almost part of his alibi. Like, oh, it could
yeah.
have been me. Like,
I
I
just
send her money. Yeah, just send her money to buy a new car.
could be.
Mhm. Yep. That's
I don't
true.
know.
That's a good point. Well, let us know what you think of Robert Durst. Was the most jaw-dropping moment for you? This one. We'll link the documentaries, the movie, and as many resources as possible. You can find that on our blog post on this episode. You can go to crimeclueless.com, go to contributors, and there's a link to our blog there. But we'd love to know what you think. Like I said, connect with us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, all the socials.
Everywhere.
Yep, at Crime Clueless. If you liked this episode, we'd love if you'd share it. You can find Crime Clueless on Apple, Spotify, Prime, YouTube, iHeart, and all major streaming platforms. And as always, remember, refuse to be clueless, careless, or caught off guard.
Not today, murderers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.